Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Aggieville Alleycats podcast, where come rain, shine, or anything in between, we're here to deliver to you the Kansas State sporting news that you so love. I'm Ace Edwards, right alongside
Connor Baltazar.
And welcome to this week's weekly recap, where we're going to be going over the Batcats, both editions of golf, men and women's, as well as the wacky segment of the week. We don't have much to cover here, or at least it doesn't seem like it, but trust me, we have a lot to say about the Batcats, which is why we're going to start with them. So the first little series is up against Texas, number 21 in the nation. I believe they actually moved up to like 19 in the rankings after this series. So we're not a terrible loss. I guess we're a notable win, if you would. But it was a 1-2 split series. We lost the first game 5-6. We'll talk about it. We won the second game 6-5, and then lost the last game 2-8. And we can just sort of start from the top because, like we said last week, we're at the point where we may as well go in depth because we're in conference play, and also we have nothing better to do. But the first game in a season that has had a number of remarkably painful moments, including coming off of one of them versus Nebraska. I mean, you've had losses up against St. Thomas where you only put up one run, and then losing to Nebraska. This arguably could be the most painful loss of the year so far. And it's not because who we lost to was bad, like the Nebraska or the St. Thomas losses. It is because it was one of the most miraculous choke jobs that the Batcats have put together in several years. That's what makes it hurt.
Yeah. I didn't realize you were cueing me for a second.
Yeah,
I thought you were going to keep
no.
going.
It's all good. I can fix that in post.
Yeah, but yeah, this was a particularly spectacular choke job by the Batcats. I had zero faith going into this series. I had no expectations, and all of a sudden we were up 5-1 in the bottom of the eighth inning, and the wheels just completely fell off. Like we had a great game up until that point. We had a huge seventh inning. But man, we just completely and utterly collapsed. All started with some struggles in left field, and then Tyrell came in for Borma and wasn't able to get control as quickly as we needed him to. He settled down at the end of the inning, but by that point we had gone from up 5-1 down 6-5. And just pretty atrocious end to this game. And then we just didn't really put up much of a fight in the top of the ninth. I mean, what do you do in that situation, I guess? There were some incredible moments in this game, like the Cole Johnson suicide squeeze to score 2. Like I personally have not seen that before.
No.
I don't.
I'm not sure we'll
Yeah.
see it again, ever.
Yeah, that was pretty unbelievable to get a 2 RBI sacrifice bunt with an out. So that was pretty incredible. Cole Johnson, batting wise, had a really great 4-game stretch this weekend. At the plate, he looked about as comfortable as he's looked in quite some time, it felt like, and more often than not, really did come up clutch. And was great down the stretch with the Creighton game as well. But back to Texas, just, man, we really had an opportunity to take a 1-0 lead in this series. And on the road, finally, this would have been a perfect opportunity to get the narrative about road struggles off our back. And unfortunately, we're not able to do that. I mean, this one hurt, especially because I had no expectations. And then we go from that to all of a sudden I check the score and we're up 5-1. And I'm like, man, I should have had expectations. And then it gets ripped away.
Yeah.
All at once. And that hurt. That was what hurt, was not having those expectations, then getting them, and then losing them all in like 20 minutes.
Yeah. And I feel like the worst part about this is everyone will focus and everyone will remember the fact that this game was choked away in the second to last inning that it possibly could have been choked away. You know what people won't remember? Owen Borima going 7, striking out 12, only walking one person. Huh?
He was unbelievable. Like, that's the one of the best starts for a K-State pitcher in years. Like, and that's including Jordan Wicks and yeah, it's Jordan Wicks. That's
Yeah,
it.
it's like you could throw Eric Torres, but he didn't really have good starts.
Yeah, he wasn't really he was a reliever, so yeah, so pretty much just Jordan Wicks. But anywho, Borma, he gets credited with 4 earned runs. I
That's
think
cap. That's
I
cap.
I think that that's some advantageous scoring from the home field. That's some home field scoring, I guess is how I'll put it. In that 8th inning, there was a 2-run RBI double that, from what it sounded like on the radio, and again, no one on earth could watch this game because it was on the Longhorn Network, so we'll never know. But based on what was said on the radio broadcast, it sounded like it was a misplay in left field as opposed to a hit. And I get that the scoring around outfield errors is kind of finicky. Like, did it touch the glove? Did it not? Like, what actually is an error? In my mind, if you have a reasonable chance to make the play and you don't because you screw up on your own, that's an error. And from what it sounds like, again, I did not have eyes on this. I am relying on the smooth baritones of Brian Smoller to deliver this information to me. And from what he was relaying over the airwaves, it sounded like it was a misplay, which really, really, really sucks. Like,
because it happened twice.
Yeah, it happened again in the same inning. And the second time was not for runs, but it was to continue their scoring. Or the first time it was not for runs. The second time, I think it was that double RBI double. I don't remember. It all runs together, but it's really especially frustrating because that tells me it's preventable, and then tells me that if we don't actively mess up, that we play a better game and we take that series. That's what really makes it hurt. And it's kind of encapsulates the season in a nutshell. There's talent on this team, but they seem to make mistakes when it counts most, especially against quality competition. Again, that separates the wheat from the chaff, is how you perform in those high leverage situations. And unless your name was Owen Borima, you were not going to be up to the task. I guess Roberto Pena. But no, that's strikeouts. Never mind. I thought that was walks at first.
Oops.
So not him.
Cash usually had 2 walks and
yeah, Cash did. Yeah, Cash was good. Cole Johnson again at the plate. The never before seen
0 for 4, 2 RBI.
0 for 4, 2 RBI. With the suicide squeeze for 2 RBIs. Well, we may never see that again. But that was unbelievable. He did leave the bases juiced, which that was another issue, was runners left on in this series. We left a lot of guys on base.
7 in this first game.
Yeah. And that's not even...
That's also been a theme.
Yeah. Especially leaving the bases loaded. We've been leaving the bases loaded a lot. We are remarkably proficient at getting the bases loaded in a variety of ways. And then once the time comes to like unjuice the bases, we just kind of seem to lose the plate vision that we've actually been quite good at this year. Mm-hmm. We've drawn the most walks in the country, as I recall.
Yeah.
Brady Day does nothing but walk pretty much. And I don't mean that as an insult. I just mean he has incredible plate vision.
Yeah.
And
the man just does not, like, he does. The one time that I've seen him strike out looking, the ball was legitimately maybe 3 or 4 feet off the plate, and the umpire just missed the call.
Yeah. Brady Day's been phenomenal this year. That's a side point, I guess. And Brendan Jones, while he does strike out more than he should for when he was a leadoff guy, he does also walk a ton.
Mhm.
So, but I digress on that. Borma deserves all the credit in the world. And like you said, no one's going to remember it. 12 strikeouts in 7 innings against number 21 Texas on the road. That's incredible stuff. Uh,
And then Tyrell is
and
going to get dumpstered when again, like I'm like he doesn't deserve it. Like there are a few times this season that I feel Tyrell has been like fairly criticized. I and the big one that comes to mind is it's not the LSU game because that one I truly believed he was screwed. He was left out to dry. Oh, what was the other? Like he has had 3 losses on the season. I don't remember
Baylor,
what. Oh yeah, Baylor. Like that one, that's the one where I would almost certainly say, yeah, that's on him. LSU, he was
that was
left
pretty
out
bad.
to dry. This game, it was just another defensive error. And unfortunately, it isn't called an error. So everyone's going to look at the box score and say, oh, Tyrell sucks. No, he doesn't. He's our best reliever, and he has been for about a year and a half.
I'm going to counter that with Tyson Neighbors, though. I,
Ooh, okay, I lied.
yeah,
He's our second. He is our second best reliever, whose
he is
name is
very
Ty.
solidly, very, very solidly our second best reliever as things stand right now. But Tyson Neighbors has been like on another planet this season. Like
You know
he's
he's
been
married.
hilariously good. What?
He's married.
Tyson Neighbors?
Yes.
Really?
According to the K-State Extra article that was posted like 2 days ago, he's married.
Huh. I didn't know that. Congrats, I guess. But
Congrats, I guess.
yeah, good for you, Tyson. But no, yeah, he's been unbelievable. He had one bad outing against Iowa, and that's it.
That's it.
He,
He
you know,
decided no more after that.
yeah, he's got 14 appearances, 42 strikeouts to 6 walks. 42 strikeouts to 6 walks.
What's his ERA at? It's like it has to be like in the ones, right?
1.16. That is nuts. That is unbelievable.
Yeah. So that we can kind of talk about that. That kind of transition into the next game.
Oh, fun
Uh,
fact, Tyson Neighbors has not given up any runs in a
since the Iowa
month.
game. Oh my god.
He's given up 3 runs all year. One in his first outing against Stephen F. Austin, one against Iowa, one against Youngstown State. He has appeared in 8 games since that time and has not allowed a single run. Good, allegedly.
Yeah, that can kind of transition into the next game, which was Tyson Neighbors' fifth save. This was the one game of the series that K-State won. It was 6-5, and this was his fifth. Tyson Neighbors' fifth save on the year. Tyler Haney's second victory on the year, despite him not getting the start. That was Herman Fajardo. Herman had, after his best outing that we've ever seen from him, kind of came back down to earth, going 3 1/3, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, only 1 strikeout, and then a balk because this is K-State Sports is the only place I've ever seen track balks. But Tyler Haney and Tyson Neighbors really did like nail it down for the rest of the game. Kyler Haney only gives up 1 run, 2 strikeouts, faced 9 batters or 10 batters, 9 official ABs. Kyler Haney has quietly been a really solid relief arm out of the pen for K State. I think the way that it's gone, and I think Pete's sort of figured this out, is game one almost always belongs to Ty Rule getting the ball out of the bullpen. Game two goes to Kyler Haney, and then game three either goes back to Ty Rule or goes to Shea Hardis. And, Kyler Haney's quietly been pretty solid. He hasn't been a world beater. He hasn't been Tyson Neighbors because Tyson Neighbors is Tyson Neighbors. But he's been solid.
Yeah, he's given Haney 2.57 ERA so far in 9 appearances. He hasn't appeared as much, which has been kind of interesting.
Hmm.
You don't see him a ton, but he's all around been pretty solid. I think you put it well. He's not a super flashy pitcher, he doesn't do one thing that you look at and think, wow, this guy's really good. But he's just all around pretty solid. He doesn't do much wrong. He's generally not a long reliever, the lone exception being a 49 pitch appearance against Air Force. But most of the time, he's short relief, not really getting further than the mid 20s. But he's been pretty impressive. In his ability to keep games intact and to not really let anything get out of hand. So I've enjoyed Kyler Haney, although he is definitely overshadowed by the inconsistency of Tyrul and the dominance of Tyson Neighbors this year. Because yeah, Tyson Neighbors, he's somebody that I think we're gonna have to worry about going and
leaving.
getting drafted.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm pretty sure he's draft eligible. I'm not 100% sure how draft eligibility works in college baseball anymore because I know they've changed the rules a couple of times, but Tyson Neighbors is just absolute nails. And he is almost certainly going to have a very long career uh, in baseball after K-State
Yeah.
at this rate. I mean, 42 strikeouts to 6 walks is pretty ludicrous. Like,
It's such a big development from last year when we called the Tyson Neighbors special walking the bases loaded and then getting three straight strikeouts.
yeah, I mean, look at this last year, 2022. Last year, Tyson Neighbors 5.4 ERA and 8 1/3 innings pitched. He only pitched 8 1/3 innings. That is wild because I remember him a lot more than that.
Mhm.
14 walks, 13 strikeouts, allowed a 267 average. This year, 1.16 ERA, 23 1/3, 6 walks, 42 strikeouts, allowing a 1.25 batting average for opponents. He's been nails. He's been the sole consistent arm out of the bullpen this
Yeah.
year for kid. The sole consistent and high level arm, I guess I'll say. We can throw Kyler Haney in there as well, although I do think he's still a step down from Tyson Neighbors, and I don't think that's an insult. I just think Tyson Neighbors is playing
He's
at
on
an all
another
Big 12.
planet.
He's at an all Big 12 level right now.
Yeah.
But there's only one Tyson Neighbors on this team. We need another guy to emerge.
Yeah. And Ty Rule, when he is on, he's not like this ungodly leap down. It's just that he has to be on. And it seems like at this point, every, I don't know, fourth or fifth outing, he's just kind of off or he gets left in too long. But anyway, this game, uh, 7 left on base for the batting. At this point, you just kind of that's I think that's kind of the floor for this team. Cash usually 2 for 5. Um, and then Pelletier and Pena both go 2 for 4. Pena gets 2 RBIs. Brendan Jones goes 1 for 4 with an RBI and a strikeout. You know, I think, and this was a game where Dom Hughes actually goes back to left field, putting Cole Johnson in the designated hitter spot. This is no disrespect to Cole Johnson. He belongs at the designated hitter spot, not because he's absolutely ungodly atrocious in the field. It's not to the level of where I think he should actively like just never play in the field ever. I just think that we probably have better options. I would almost recommend putting Carson Queck in left field. I just don't think he's quite ready from what we've seen. Not defensively. I think defensively he's fine. I think that
The bat's not there
the
yet.
bat's not there yet, which it'll come with time.
This team desperately needs Zach Kokoska or Dom Johnson. Uh,
Yeah.
if Dominic Johnson had not gotten drafted last year and hung around, things would be very different for this team right now, I think. Because he was left field last year and he was so reliable, especially as a bat. His bat was unbelievable. And this team, there's just it's been a bit of a rotating cast at left field at times. We've seen some Carson Queck, we've seen some Dom Hughes, we've seen a lot of Cole Johnson as well. And Cole Johnson's not always like a bad left fielder. But we've seen him move around a lot in his K-State career. It seems like there hasn't been one defensive spot that we're really fine with him at. We even saw him play a little bit of first this year as
his
well.
first game playing first base was this year.
Yeah, he played a lot of center field last year. DHs. He does quite a few different things, but yeah, this is it. He's been solid with the bat as of late. Had a nice double in this game against Texas in the 6-5 win. He has been good. He had a sack fly as well to tie the game in the 7th. And that 4th inning double scores Brady Day. So I mean he's doing some things right, but it's just kind of putting it all together and getting really consistent with it. But I mean, 'cause I want him to succeed because I want the Batcats to succeed. But
Yeah.
you know, um it was just a rough outing for him against Texas, and it happens, but just was not an opportune time to not have a good inning.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, the only home run for the second game was Brendan Jones, and we already kind of went over the pitching stats. So this was our one victory, and it was pretty solid. Like you can be happy with this one, especially with Tyson Neighbors. At this point, it's the slam the door. It's the Mariano Rivera effect. He comes in, the game's over. Shut up. Like there's nothing you can do, and it's I can imagine that that's a very helpless feeling.
Yeah. He's just unbelievable. He brings great energy to the mound as well. I mean, he gets really hype up there on the mound. And he just brings a really great confidence to the mound as well. He goes into every single at bat believing that he can strike out the guy in front of him in 3 pitches. And
God,
more often than not, he's capable of doing that.
God, who was it that he came in for like 3 innings that he was yawning after he struck out the side?
I don't remember, but I do
You remember
remember
this
that
happening?
I do remember that happening. I don't remember what game that was though. I wish I did, because that was certainly something that happened.
Yeah.
But he's been nails. Kalen Culpepper, finally getting a nice series back in. We've really missed Kalen Culpepper. I know he's been back for a little bit, but like
It's still worth noting.
I know him at the hot corner, just he just makes everything look really easy defensively. Like there is so much to love about Kalen Culpepper in the field. Nick Goodwin as well, credit to him, has
Yeah.
been really good in the field. And we have been critical of him as a fielder in the past because he wasn't good at it. But
Like just being honest.
yeah, but he has been fantastic this season. That left side of the infield has has been virtually error free for a while, especially when Kalen Culpepper is at third and is healthy. So a lot of credit to those guys because they have earned it.
Yeah. So unfortunately, now we have to talk about the last game. This was an 8-2 loss for K State. We can kind of talk about the weird things that happened first. Firstly, Texas's manager and their center fielder both got ejected, both for the same reason, arguing balls and strikes. And well, actually, the manager got ejected because the umpire was saying, "Get back in the damn box," because they kept taking too long between pitches. Um, and then in retribution for getting ejected from the game, Kalen Culpepper gets slid into at third base, gets cleated in the hand that he hurt. And I'm not saying that the radio broadcast made it sound intentional. However,
He's not saying that. I
I'm
guess we're
not
getting.
denying that. And then the next inning, after Kalen Culpepper gets slid into in his injured hand, we honestly, Hunter and I were panicking. We thought that he was going to be out for another month because it really sounded like he re-injured it
It
again.
did. Yeah, it really did.
And then he gets hit by a pitch in the next inning. That one wasn't intentional. That one I guarantee wasn't intentional. But at the same time, it's just Kalen Culpepper led the team in hit by pitches last year. I just want the man to get a break.
He cannot catch a break. But yeah, not a pretty game, unfortunately. This loss to Texas. Pitching really struggled across the board. The only guy to really have a clean sheet was Shea Hardis, who's somebody that's been very up and down this year, but pretty much went out and threw nothing but fastballs and got out of the inning in 10 pitches. So congrats, Shea. Granted, it was in the eighth inning, so the game was well in
It was
hand.
over.
But we were talking about left on base earlier. We stranded 13 in this game. Absolutely
God.
horrific and suboptimal, I'd say even. Batting wise, we had 6 hits. Cole Johnson had a solo home run to cut a deficit down, but it didn't. That was the last run we'd score. That was in the 4th inning. Roberto Pena had 2 hits. Cash Rugeley had a double, but he was kind of nursing an injury throughout the game. Brady Day once again draws 2 walks and does not strike out. He just does that. That's pretty normal,
Yeah,
honestly.
that's just Brady Day.
But yeah, we as I recall, we stranded runners at third in the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th innings. And then we also left the bases loaded in the top of the 9th. When we had 2 innings in this game, it was the 9th, the 4th, and the 9th where we left the bases juiced. We left 2 on in the 1st as well. So just
It's
man,
not acceptable. It's just not. Like you can't leave 13 on base and then leave the bases loaded twice and expect to win against anyone, much less a ranked team away.
yeah, that's just not something you can do, especially if you're not getting anything out of it. And we weren't like, it'd be one thing if we were like leaving bases loaded, but still getting a couple runs out of an inning or 1 run or something. But multiple times getting nothing out of an inning while leaving the bases loaded, that's pretty painful. And we had our opportunities to to really contend and compete in this game, and we just couldn't do it.
Yeah. The pitching, like you mentioned earlier, it wasn't great. Jack Wentworth returned to the starting rotation, ends up giving up 4 runs, 2 innings. Blake Corsentino, who I still think he's probably playing hurt. Uh, he gave up 2. Ty Rule goes 1 inning, gives up 2. This was another one of his inconsistent outings. Mason Buss goes 2, gives up 3 hits, 2 walks, but doesn't allow any runs.
He loaded up the bases once, I believe, but was able to get out of it.
Yeah. And then Shea Hardis obviously has his 1 inning. So all in all, this last game is just a game to forget. And it really does leave us with a lot of questions about who the third starter is, among other things. Because we've sort of been looking for that third. Because Jack Wentworth ended up being our second starter at the beginning of the year. He ended up getting kicked basically to the bullpen to improve his control. That left us without a third starter. But the good news is that we may have actually just found an answer to that in the Crichton game.
Yeah, because Wentworth, coming off of injured true freshman season, didn't play at all. So he's a redshirt freshman right now. Has not been fantastic. Highly, highly, highly touted recruit out of high school, but he's not really finding it yet at the college level. But yeah, we saw a fantastic outing from one Colin Rothermel, who was a we had been wondering to ourselves where he had been
Yeah.
because we remembered kind of liking his stuff last year, and we just had not seen him at all. But we saw him play a not very great start against West Virginia, only go 2 1/3, but he was awesome against Creighton.
Yeah.
He had a killer curveball and ended up getting 6 strikeouts and 6 innings, only allowing 2 hits and 2 walks. No runs allowed, 99 pitches. That's a really great start for Colin Rothermel.
Yeah. I honestly, if because he's another person who came on late because he was nursing an injury earlier this year. I'm not sure we know or will ever know how injured the bullpen truly is because there have been a couple of names that we've only seen once or twice. And while I can explain seeing one or two of those guys once or twice, there have been a few times where I'm like, okay, like where's Corso? Where's Rothermel? Hassel, we know what happened. Hassel's hurt. But actually he probably would be in the rotation, wouldn't he?
He'd probably be the number 2 starter, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
And then it'd be Fajardo, Wentworth, now Rothermel, I guess, kind of fighting over that third spot and then rotating through those weekday games. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Speculation.
But Rothermel, he honestly had better control of his slider and curveball this game than he had of his fastball, which, first off, Paul,
Yeah.
secondly, please keep doing that because when his curveball is on, it's gross. It's disgusting. Like
Yeah.
I struggle to call anything unhittable at like the college level. He's getting pretty close.
Yeah. Curveball, watching the baseball analytics page show the drop on it and the spin rates. I mean, he's getting above MLB average spin rate on his curveball right now. And the drop is phenomenal, and he's placing it really well. Everything about it just oozes confidence from a pitching perspective. So I hope he can keep that up because he is the announced day 3 starter for this upcoming weekend. He is the guy for Sunday against KU. But yeah, he was awesome in this Creighton game. And then we only got 1 inning of Ty Rule, and he took care of business because this was a run rule affair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was a 10-0 run rule win against Crichton. And there isn't really much you could say. You know, we left 5 on base, but 3 of that was from Brendan Jones. Everyone except Cash Rugeley and Brendan Jones in the starting lineup get at least 1 hit. Kalen Culpepper and Roberto Pena each get 2. Kojo gets 2. Home runs from Cole Johnson. Stolen bases, which has been a quiet part of our game. Nick Goodwin, Kalen Culpepper, Roberto Pena, and then Cole Johnson. I laugh because Roberto Pena is not really known for his stolen base prowess.
I seem to remember one of those was on a ball that got away.
Probably Pena.
Probably Pena. He's not exactly a speed demon. He's not slow, but he's not a he's not a stealing threat.
He's not Justin Mitchell from last year.
No. Well, nobody's Justin Mitchell. Like, that man, no offense, was maybe the slowest baseball player I've ever seen in my life. But
I watched Prince Fielder. He was on that level.
It's not company you want to be.
Yeah, there not much to say about this one. It was a good game against okay Crichton team. They were 14-12. And like for as much as we've kind of talked about the Batcats and talked about how they've had a lot of shortcomings, they're 21-14, which don't misunderstand, they should be better. The talent on the roster should be better, but they're not awful.
No, they're just very annoyingly okay.
Yeah.
And they're beating up on teams that they're very clearly better than and putting up fights against teams that are better than they are and not being able to get over the hump. I think right now they're playing to a level that's exactly what they are as a team, which is fine.
Yeah.
They're an okay team with some bright spots, but also with a lot of holes. And they are an imperfect roster that has some incredible talent in some places. Guys like Tyson Neighbors and Kalen Culpepper and Nick Goodwin and Owen Borma has far exceeded my expectations. This year has become truly an ace. The starting lineup and has been, other than Tyson Neighbors, the only pitcher that game in game out you can rely on to deliver a really solid outing. And this lineup has been inconsistent, but at its peak, it's a fighting for middle of the Big 12 lineup in a year where there's a lot of parity in the Big 12. Some of the worst teams have stepped up a little bit, and the teams that normally dominate have come down to earth a little bit more. But at the end of the day, this team, I think we really know what they are at this point in the season. And it would really
Fine
take,
team.
yeah, it would take a miracle to make a regional out of that based on resume alone. Especially considering some of the losses that they've had. The St. Thomas, yeah, the
St.
St. Thomas
Thomas.
that lost lurks. Dropping the series to Baylor, that really hurts. Sure, they have some quality wins, but dropping the home series to West Virginia, that's a missed opportunity. Dropping the road series to Texas when you had the chance to win it, that's a massive missed opportunity. I think this is gonna at this point in time, this is not a regional team. Despite maybe having talent that is regional level in certain places on the field. And guys that in the batting lineup can go off at any point. Cole Johnson had a fantastic game against Creighton, drawing a walk, gets the walk-off home run, a 3-run shot, and was really good against Creighton as a hitter. And we saw Kyan Lotus again for the first time in what feels like quite a while. He registered an RBI hit and drew a walk, which was nice to see a young guy do well. Rafael Pelletier was playing for some reason, catching the 4th day in a row. I am so sorry, but
Yeah, that probably should go to Lobliner.
yeah, Blobliner, Caden Phillips,
Phillips, someone else.
just put Dom Hughes back there.
Okay, don't do that. But
Lefty catcher. That and then that's not even the biggest concern. But I yeah, I do like this team, but this is still an admittedly frustrating team. This is a team that if they put everything together and if Tyrell can figure it out and Rothermel can lock down that number 3 starter spot and just be solid, then this team could take a step. But they're at a point in the season with their record, they're basically going to have to win every series from here on out. They can maybe afford to, I think they can drop, I think you and I were talking about this. They can drop the Oklahoma State series in Stillwater, and nobody's going to think less of them for that. And
no,
because that Oklahoma State's just a really quality baseball team. But I don't know if Rothermel can lock down at number 3 spot and Jackson Wentworth can take the Carson Seymour career arc and just become a really good reliever out of nowhere at the end of the season, then all of a sudden we're looking at a team that could make some noise in Arlington and go the semis again out of the losers bracket and come painstakingly close to making the regionals, because that's kind of what this team feels like right now.
That's what we're gonna do. We've done it what? How many years in a row? 3?
As long as Pete's been here, I think we've made a little run in Arlington. I know we did last year, and I know we did the year before, because the year prior, the only reason that we didn't go to the championship was we literally ran out of pitchers.
We ran out of pitchers, and then I had to tell the story about I had to tell you the story about getting asked to walk onto the baseball team.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then it became an in-joke between you and I that I'm the reason why they didn't
absolutely
advance to a reach.
But
they needed a warm body.
Yeah, the last time we didn't pick up a win in a Big 12 tournament that did happen, like one that was actually like, so 2020 doesn't count, was 2019. That's Pete's first year. We have historically been able to, in Pete Hughes' tenure, been able to really make some noise down in Arlington. I know we're still over a month away from that, but this is a fun team to watch when they play baseball.
In Arlington specifically.
In the Big 12. Well, it was in Oklahoma City, I think, in 2021, because it's a recent move. But when they're playing in the Big 12 tournament, they are a very fun team. And I am hopeful that they can continue to be a fun team this year. And maybe make some noise down there. But we're just gonna have to wait and see at this point. It's still a long way out, and there's also still plenty of opportunities to make our way into the NCAA tournament on our own merits, but we're running out of time there.
Yeah. So the next series is up against KU in Lawrence. We need to win that series. Then Wichita State, it's a one-off. Yeah. We need to win at least every series from KU to Oklahoma State. So that's KU, UC Irvine, Texas Tech at home. At home makes it doable. Southeast Missouri State, if we lose a game in that series, I'll melt down. Oklahoma State, we're not winning that series, and then TCU in Taunton. So, like, could it happen? Yeah. Would I bet on it? No.
Yeah, I think that's a good mindset to have. I have no expectations at this point in time, but I would be very pleasantly surprised if the Batcats are able to make a really big run. It wouldn't be the absolute most surprising thing in the world. Just because we do know the Batcats have a history of making those late season runs and finding their stride late when they're pressed up against the wall. But we're gonna have to find a way to be a competitive road team because 7 of our next 8 games are on the road from April 14th through April 25th. We're playing 7 road games, 3 of them at KU, 3 at UC Irvine, and then 1 at UC Riverside. We get 1 game at home against Wichita State to break that up a little bit, but those odds are long. We have been statistically better on the road this year. We're 8-7 on the road, but 4 of those wins are against Stephen F. Austin, and that barely counts. And so we're gonna have to go be a KU team that has been pretty solid in Big 12 play so far, and go play a California team, UC Irvine team, on the road, out in Cali, and find a way to take some games from them that maybe we aren't expecting to win. But I don't know, man. It's it's tough sledding at this point in time. I'm hopeful, but
I yeah, I guess that's the best way I would describe it. Is I would describe it as a hopeful feeling. But yep, that is the Batcats. Now we can talk about men's golf. They ended up getting 3rd place at the Tiger Collegiate Invitational. Which Tigers, you might be asking? The Missouri Tigers. And they get the 8th top 5 finish of the year, which ended up kicking them to top 23 in the nation. I'm not sure if it's an AP poll. I'm not sure how they exactly calculate this.
I highly doubt that they make the AP wire vote on college golf. But
I mean, we're doing a pod poll about football, so maybe, I don't know.
Football and golf, I just don't know if we can compare. But
yeah, I guess that's a fair point.
I imagine it's a coach's poll, probably, but whatever poll it is, we're 23rd in the country, which feels nice.
Mm-hmm.
And we probably should have gotten 2nd, honestly.
Yeah.
In this meet, we had a Luke O'Neill, from K-State. He finished tied for 6th at -11, but we didn't have him on our 5-person score sheet.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't count towards our team totals, even though he was the highest finishing individual. So if we had him on our sheet, then we go from finishing like minus 36 as a team. That probably passes Missouri.
Missouri's -40.
Yeah. So we only need 4 additional strokes there. And
we were not beating Illinois. No one was beating Illinois.
That was simply not going to happen.
That -68.
Yeah. And O'Neill finished 10 spots ahead of the guy that finished, or 10 strokes ahead of the guy that finished 4th for K-State. And apparently they only count the top 4 guys towards placement. I did not realize that until recently, but so finishing 10 strokes ahead there if Luke O'Neill is inserted into the lineup. K-State would have gotten second by 6 strokes, but still can't complain too much about third, and finishing 10 strokes clear of Marquette in fourth. So all in all, pretty solid there. And I also saw that individually, I believe it's Tim Tillmans and Will Hopkins. They're both top 25 as individuals now. So that's pretty cool. We're looking at a team that's, I think, going to make NCAA regionals, and maybe even go a little bit further than that.
Natty.
Which I truly don't remember the last time that we really like. I don't remember the last time we sent a team to regionals, like and like performed at any decent level. Apparently, we did last year, but we've not really been a fantastic golf team in the past. So something to keep an eye on, I guess. But yeah, solid showing out in Columbia.
Yep. Then that's a men's golf. Women's golf ended up tying 8th of 9 in Big 12 match play. Ended up tying with Oklahoma, or no wait, ended up tying with
Tech.
Texas Tech for 8th
Wait, no,
place.
they did tie with Oklahoma.
Yeah. Tied with Oklahoma for 8th place, which was last. It's been a pretty up and down season, other than competing at the Brazzy.
Doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So who really won? But it was pretty much, yeah, that's just how it went. We ended up going up against Oklahoma, who was the bottom seeded team, and then KU, who for some reason is the top seeded women's team in the Big 12. Funnily enough, both were 3-2 victories, which they're calculated, I'm pretty sure, by a versus format. So like your best golfer goes up against theirs, so on and so forth. So we dropped to KU 3-2, and we beat Oklahoma 3-2. So at least we're consistent, I guess. But
yeah, just nothing crazy there. I guess we'll go play at the Big 12 championship here pretty soon for both men's and women's.
Yeah,
that's coming up because match play is different.
yeah.
Which makes me wonder why they do it, but all right. And
I don't know, man.
But now, yeah, the women's golf team, they have Big 12 title coming up in Dallas, the Dallas Athletic Club. Sadly, not the Brazzy, so we don't care. But the men's team, for some reason, it's in Hutch. It's in Hutchinson, Kansas, at a country club there, Prairie Dunes. Don't know why. I don't know if they got the memo. There's not a Big 12 school in Hutchinson, Kansas, but I guess they can have it there if they want. Who are we to stop them?
Yeah. Yeah, that is all the news segments for this week. Now we can get into the wacky news segment of the week and then the actual wacky segment of the week. The wacky news segment of the week is the Battle of the Titans that just occurred in media personalities. It was RJ Garcia in a Hang with Tang episode. And before you ask, if you haven't seen it, I don't care about the rest of the engagement for the episode. You stop listening to this episode right now and you go find the RJ Garcia Hang with Tang. That is more important than anything else we are about to say in the next 5 to 10 minutes. It was an experience that I cannot describe in words.
I was very happy that they decided to do it. And I'm glad they thought of it because it's something that makes such perfect sense. But I had never considered it until I saw that they had a picture of RJ at the Hang the Tang thing, and all of a sudden it just clicked in my mind. And
then you're like, oh, good job, RJ. Good job.
That's exactly what I thought. Took the words right out of my mouth. But I'm so happy they did. It was super funny. I'm glad that Coach Tang's still doing the Hang with Tang. Even though it's been like a year, I think, ish since he started it. Probably. Well, no, he started it.
No, he started it. In the fall of this last semester.
Yeah,
I'm thinking still doing it.
Yeah, I was thinking about like some of the outreach stuff that he was doing to campus back in the spring. But no, I'm happy to see the football and basketball teams kind of come out and support each other. I I'm happy to see that we're kind of like taking both of them kind of peaking in terms of relevancy and like public notoriety, and we're trying to take advantage of that from a social media perspective. We've got a pretty savvy social media team at K-State, so I'm glad to see that we're utilizing those resources towards trying to improve the profile of both football and basketball by using both to help each other.
Yeah. That's the news segment. It's just amazing to watch.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. The question segment is, if the football team were to star in a movie, what genre would the movie be? And it can't be a sports movie. So who would you like to go first in this scenario here?
I think I have an idea.
Okay.
I'm gonna say musical. I I would love to see one of the offensive linemen lead a musical. Uh, I could be persuaded to cast as a lead any of the following three, and that would be Cooper Beebe, Hayden Gillum, or KT Leviston. And they could be the leads. And I don't know, go on some sort of journey of some sort. I don't really have the plot fleshed out, but that's not the prompt. The prompt is what genre would it be? And I think a musical would be entertaining.
Yeah. God, can you imagine like a duet between like Will Howard and the entire offensive line, and they just somehow come up with like a 3-part harmony with each one paired in twos?
That would be pretty great. That would be pretty great.
Oh,
I just want to see the offensive line do more stuff together. Period. Like I want
it's
to see,
it's a character group.
yeah, I want to see them get like joint NIL deals and stuff like that.
I'm still
Like
waiting for the five.
five
I'm waiting
guys,
for someone to get the
yeah,
five guy, like the offensive line to get the five guys NIL.
yeah.
I'm waiting for it. It hasn't happened yet.
That's something that we've been talking about for a while now. I feel like, and it's shocking to me that Five Guys is not taking advantage of that perfect marketing opportunity. And if there was a Culver's in Manhattan, I know that Hayden Gillen would be all over that.
Oh
But
yeah,
which fair to him, Culver's is pretty solid. But um, yeah, that's my genre is musical. I'd like to see the offensive line get up to more antics and shenanigans together. But what are your
some
thoughts?
tomfoolery,
Yeah, malarkey, if you will.
some hullabaloo,
I'm out of words, man.
shaboingery.
Okay.
I honestly the so it would be for me, it would be the really, really cheesy 80s action movies. And the main one that I'm thinking of right now is The Running Man. But instead of Arnold Schwarzenegger, it's just, oh, who would I want for that? Who would I want to fill the role of Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Those are some big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
Literally.
Daniel Green. I'll have Daniel Green be Arnold Schwarzenegger. And then it's just like really cheesy, really bad like 80s action where every single position skill group links up together and they all have to like have the actually I guess you'd have to pick the most which position group you like the best, and they have to be the protagonists and everyone else just kind of gets the short end of the stick.
Another fun one, I just thought of this, would be a remake of Scott Pilgrim, but it's just Avery Johnson having to go against all of K-State's former quarterbacks.
Fighting for the heart of Colin Klein, who is also there as a quarterback.
Yes, exactly right. It's a a wonderful story between Avery Johnson and Colin Klein, as well as a coming of age story individually for Avery. So I think that could be an entertaining movie potentially, but
Would you include current K-State quarterbacks or just ones from the past?
they could cameo, but I think that um it would need to be like all time greats.
Okay.
Like how many are there in Scott Pilgrim? There's like 7 or 9
There's 7 Evil
X's.
X's in Scott
Yeah,
Pilgrim.
7. So we'd have to find 7 K-State greats for Avery Johnson to have to like defeat in like quarterback skills competitions or something.
Just one random one is a battle that like all the rest of them are completely related, sensical quarterback competitions or like athletics competitions. There's just one that's just the battle of the bands because you have to have that.
Of course.
Avery Johnson like just suddenly becomes one of the greatest guitar players of all time. And it's just because of his hair.
We have to see if there's any former K-State QBs that are guitar proficient. If there was any, I feel like it'd be like Lynn Dickey.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why. Just gives off the vibes, I guess. But I have no justification beyond that, but we'll see.
Okay, before this turns into another Mount Everest and the Sphinx episode, wait, I think we should cut it off here.
That's a good idea.
But thank you all for listening to this episode of the Aggieville Alleycats podcast. If you want to contact or follow the show, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Aggieville Alleycats. That's capital A, and capital C in cats. If you want to email us, we're AggievilleAlleycats@gmail.com. If you want to follow us on a more personal note, I'm at ACEdward00.
I am at Connor Baltazar, capital C, capital B.
And if you want to support the show financially, please be sure to check out the official Aggieville Alleycats merch store, where you can find such designs as the staff-approved Doomtang Clan, Play Sandstorm Cowards, and Neon Alleycats. But most importantly, thank you all for listening to this episode of the Aggieville Alleycats podcast, where come rain, shine, or anything in between, we're here to deliver to you the Kansas State sporting news that you so love. Stay safe, Alleycats.